All right, so welcome to another episode of Sudden Change Podcast. It's your boy Beans. Today we got a very special guest with us, former NFL player James Nixon, longtime friend. How's everything going? How you doing today?
Can't complain, man. How you been, boss? Appreciate you having me on the show.
Of course, we could jump right in. So I've known you since we were kids. When did you start playing football, and at what point did you realize like you were like a top-notch player? You were a dog. How young were you?
Huh. I didn't truly start playing organized ball till seventh grade Sheridan. I'm not gonna lie, I tried out for Pop Warner 1 year. The year before that, I ain't make it.
Oh, really?
I was one of those, one of those eight plays and out guys.
Gotcha.
I had no idea what I was doing out there.
Mhm.
But yeah, seventh grade at Sheridan was pretty much when I really started organized ball. But I didn't know what I was capable of until maybe my sophomore year in high school. Um, and we were playing Ansonia in the playoffs. Uh,
Good
they
team.
just went down and scored on us. They kicked the ball off. I was returning it, and I almost cribbed it first one, and that's when I knew I was like, all right, hold on, I think I could do something out here. So,
Nice. So in high school, how many different positions did you play before you kind of figured out this is what I'm the best at?
um, well, to be honest with you, just started me off at receiver, and I wanted no parts of receiver. I was stubborn. I swore receiver was, the softest position on the field at the time. And of course, my big brothers Brandon and Lionel were playing it, so they automatically assumed that's what I wanted to do. I
Mm,
always loved running back. I felt like, especially as a speed guy, they feel like we're not physical, so that I felt like that's where I wanted to earn my niche at and let them know that I'm not just speed, you know what I mean? So I tried my hardest to make sure they did not put me at receiver. I would go to practice and drop passes on purpose, all types of stuff, all types of stuff. Seriously, no lie. So started off at receiver, then moved me to running back finally, and then corner on defense my junior year and sophomore year. Started off a little bit at safety my senior year, and then went back to corner. So I played about maybe four total positions in high school.
gotcha. So how did that, you mentioned your brothers growing up in a house full of boys, how did that just affect your toughness and, you know, how did that translate onto the field?
So to be honest with you, I always, especially nowadays, I give a lot of credit to older brothers. Older brothers pretty much go out there with no blueprint. They're pretty much trying to figure it out. Where the younger brothers, we get the cheat sheet. We get to see everything they did wrong,
Yeah,
everything they did right. Things like that. So yeah, definitely growing up in the house, it was brutal at first. Got the older guys not taking no mercy. You step on the line, it's go time. I don't care how old you are, how big
yeah,
you are, small you are. Like you out here, you out here. So I will say that definitely gave me a slight edge growing up because I was always playing against them. So kids my age, from maybe about fifth grade to eighth grade, I didn't necessarily look at as real competition because I was going against my brothers and their friends. I was playing against older people all the time.
yeah,
Now I won't lie, I say every sport was like that because basketball was different. I wasn't that as elite in basketball, but football, running, and all that, I didn't. It was second nature in my opinion. Um, and of course, it was bragging rights in the house. You didn't want to get clowned the whole night either. So exactly. So I'm saying that's all day long. So I definitely
yeah.
want that.
So who are some of the best players that you played against in high school? If you can remember that far back. 'Cause I know Connecticut is very underrated when it comes to, dogs that come out of here. Is there
Absolutely.
anybody that comes to mind? Like I played against a couple dogs.
Oh yeah. First off, I always gotta salute my high brethren. I always look at all the talent there, and
Yeah.
I get blown away seeing, or telling kids now, like, hey, listen, my high school is no joke. Like, y'all might think I'm good, but I didn't necessarily get playing time to my junior year. So clearly, it lets you know how good that roster was. So the first guy that opened my eyes was Will get Chris Gay. I'm sorry, Chris Gay. Um, and the weird part about it was his first year playing running back, his senior year, and he basically went off for like almost 2,500 yards.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah, like he was a freak of nature, like 6 foot, 6'1", speed, power, vision. He had a whole package, man. And that literally was like, all right, y'all talk about tall running backs can't make it. This guy's already killing it, and I'm like sitting there taking notes on it.
Mm,
So Chris Gay was my number one favorite running back watching initially. Um, of course, I got my guys Greg Gatlin and Omar Thomas. Rest in peace to Nick Williams. Um, all those again, Hyde alumni, but that I played against for sure. That's not from high school. My high school. Are we including scrimmages or actual games?
just anybody you got to share the field with and watch them in person.
Okay. So Kenny Tenney,
Mm,
um, Ryan Thomas. Um, I don't remember Cook's first name. All those guys from Antonio were all dogs,
yeah, Antonio was
literally
a
all dogs. Man, let me see. My guy Tyon Pascal from Valley Regional. Of course, I got some Hill House guys and Donald McCauley, Kyle Watkins. Um, Funny enough, who doesn't get a lot of credit is Booster. Booster was really solid.
yeah.
Like he flew under the radar in terms of being known but he could play. Um, Pringle, of course James Wright. So I'm bouncing around here. Actually played against or scrimmaged against Aaron Hernandez.
Really.
Oh yeah, he was definitely it was exactly what listen. He saw it back then.
Yeah, yeah.
He was always special. I even played against Jordan Reed back when he was in New London at quarterback.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And his big brother David Reed, who also played in the NFL for the Ravens. Um,
Nice.
so those are just off the top of my head. If I'm forgetting people, I apologize. It's been a long
Oh
time,
yeah.
but you know,
Yeah, you named a lot of guys that I remember and watched play too. So you mentioned a bunch of Hill House guys. So I gotta ask this question for the city. There's always this
absolutely.
debate about Hyde, Hill House, and I assume you guys never play because you're in, different conferences, whatever. Let's say your junior year, your senior year, if you line up against Hill House, who's winning that game? I know you're gonna say Hyde, but just how would that game go, you
Well,
think? It's a lot of
I will
conversation out
say so. Our JVs they scrimmaged before. They scrimmaged twice, I believe,
there.
and both times High won. They won't admit it, but High won. And that literally stopped them from having an in-season game because the way
Mm,
that the JV team
really?
won.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. If you guys Coach Gary Moore about that one. I don't mean to put you on blast, Coach. uh, but my junior year, as much love I have for Hills, for sure, that's a dub for Hyde. That team right there, in my opinion, possibly could be one of the top 10 all-time
Mm,
teams in the state. You had elite talent across the board. Willie Harriet, Chaz Neal, my brother Lionel, Tavon Long, Dion Kruger, um, Rob Walker, Bruce Campbell, Sidney Outlaw, James Mitchell. Like
goodness
it
gracious.
was, it, it was a listen. It was a problem. That secondary alone was
Yeah.
listen. So across the board, yeah. Junior year for sure. My senior year, I definitely would say it'll be more of a fight. But I will still edge it to us by maybe two scores. Um, but of course, they also say opposite. But they can't. in my opinion, they cannot say nothing about the 04, 05 team, though. They have to admit that one. But my senior year, 05, 06, they may say, they might edge it or whatnot, but nah.
Gotcha. So moving on from high school, you did before college, you did a year of prep school? Is
Yes,
it
sir.
okay? And why did you do a year of prep school?
Well, being a young knucklehead at first, the gift and the curse of being the younger brother.
Mm,
So initially coming into high school, of course, you want to break out of your sibling shadow. And I try to find my own path, but went about it the wrong way, being a knucklehead, getting in trouble, not really doing much in school. So, my dad put hands and feet on me about that. Um, but my freshman year, yeah, I did absolutely all the wrong stuff. Did nothing pretty much academically, and pretty much kind of inhibited me from doing a lot of athletics as well because I wasn't even eligible for the most part.
mm,
My sophomore year, kind of got on the gun a little bit, um, but I more so understood it more because I actually had more opportunity. My freshman year, like I said, I was behind so many people that
right.
I was like, what am I doing out here? I'm not
Yeah.
used to not being the quote unquote guy or getting playing time right away, or my brother's on the team. There's no way I'm not on the team with him. You know what I mean? So threw me for a loop my freshman year. The sophomore year, I buckled down a little bit more. Junior year is when everything kind of blew up athletically. Um, and that was when I really had to buckle down academically and get everything back going. But at that point, I was still kind of too late. So, long story short, by the time senior year rolled around, unless I had an amazing SAT or ACT, I needed a year of prep. So, that pretty much what got me into prep school.
Gotcha. So what was I don't know if it was a recruiting process or what was the process for you to end up where you ended up in college after the year in prep school?
Uh, in terms of just recruiting or in terms of academically?
No, more so like on the recruiting side. Like how do you end up at the school? Like how do you choose that school? Did they come looking for you? Like how that work?
Oh no, so I actually called them up.
Oh,
Well, I actually called up the old coach from UVA. Initially, it came down to UVA, Maryland, and UConn coming out of high school. I chose UConn, of course, because I wanted structure. I got my brother there, my family behind me, so I wanted, just to make sure I'm still staying in line. I know I was immature initially in high school, so I wanted to make sure I had still a baseline of, some structure behind me. But before that, I was really, really heavy on UVA. There was one thing that pushed me away. It was one of the things one of the recruiters said to me about playing time, and it threw me for a loop because I already knew I was going to prep school, and he had no questions or no worries about my academics. Like he never spoke to me about academics, which bothered me a little bit. I mean, I can see, of course, you want to talk to your player and make sure they're responsible enough to handle their academics, but for you to not even mention it or, not even have some type of concern about it, that bothered me. So that's what ultimately pushed me away from UVA. But the two coaches there that did say something about it, um, both ended up leaving UVA and coaching at Temple. So when me and UConn broke apart, I kind of wanted to avoid all the recruiting again. Didn't want to deal with all the headache about it. So
yeah.
I called him up and he told me that Temple, but he just let me know that at the time he didn't have any scholarships available till spring. So I was like, all right, whenever you're ready, I'll be here in Connecticut, man. So that's literally how that came about. And Dion put in a good word as well for me over there too.
Nice. So once you got to Temple, did you start immediately? Did you have to wait in line? What was that experience like?
It was rough because um, so Dion put a very good word in for me.
Mm,
Um,
nice.
so yeah, he put in a very good word for me. Then I had a lot of other kids from Connecticut who knew of me as well. Terrence Knighton, Alex Joseph, uh, Elijah Joseph, and Elisha Joseph, all from Hartford and Stanford. Um, so they also pretty much were gunning for me out the gate. But the same token, Connecticut sit together. So of course they were also bigging me up, but they wasn't making it easy for me.
Right, right.
So initially I came in there getting starting reps at running back, but of course, I ended up split. I didn't start. I was splitting time at running back, and slight jet motion receiver, H back, if you want to call it. That way, I was learning also behind the slot receiver, Travis Shelton, as well. So,
So, but you ended up at corner, right? Am I correct? Or was that later on?
yes and no. Later on, so
Okay.
my first 2 years offense strictly. First year was more so running back, a little bit of receiver. My sophomore year, moved that receiver. Then my third year, they had me playing both sides, offense and defense. So I was doing a little bit of the Travis Hunter back then. I wasn't, starting both ways like he was, but I started majority offense. Then I come in on nickel packages, third down packages on defense my junior year. And then my senior year, when the new coach came in, he wanted me strictly defense. But
And what was his reasoning behind that, wanting you to strictly defense?
well, reason behind that is because they both came from Florida. The D coordinator and the head coach both came from the University of Florida. They felt like um, we didn't throw the ball as much for me to be as needed as heavy on offense,
Hmm.
which I mean, that's you limit the quarterback, and that's a whole different conversation. I don't even want to go
Oh, that's all.
there. But you're limited a lot out there, and on defense, they felt as if I was more the prototype, size, speed, um, physicality. So they felt like it would be more of a shoe in at corner, which I didn't ultimately have a problem with, but to completely shut the offense side out was a little extreme for me. So.
Understood. So did you finish at Temple? Because I was reading, there was another college listed that was, so you went somewhere else for a year before going to the league?
Yep. So ended up bumping heads with the head coach there, and transferring out to Cal University of Pennsylvania. It tricked me because I thought I was going to California. But yeah, I was ready. I was like, I get some good weather, all that. But they was like, no, no, no,
Yeah,
we're five hours up the road. Oh, I'm still in PA.
yeah.
But I loved it out there. My DB coach was phenomenal. Like I literally I owe a lot to him in terms of honing my defensive back skills. And then the team out there, the whole community out there was amazing. They really showed me love and took care of me out there.
Nice. So draft time comes around or pre-draft. Like, what are your expectations going into the draft? Are you expecting to get drafted, or you kind of know you might not, you might have to sign afterwards? What were your expectations?
Half and half. So like I mean, of course, the dream is to get drafted,
Of course.
but I knew that my my draft projection was a little bit faulty. Primarily because I didn't necessarily have an agent until maybe 3 to 5 days before the draft.
Oh wow.
So as you can see with NFL, they're very high and strict about having agents represent you. You see with the Lamar Jackson cases and things like that. So literally the teams would be interested, but if they felt as if I had no representation, to them it was sort of like almost not necessarily a red flag, but enough for them to be like, I mean, we like you, but what's the holdup? Who's not believing in you and things like that.
Gotcha.
So literally, what caused that issue was I had agent necessarily looking at me at Cal. Um, and I ended up fracturing my rib.
Mhm.
Um, so it caused me to miss like maybe 3 or 4 games out there. Uh, and when that happened, agent disappeared.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, like disappeared on me. So that put in my mind, this might be it. To be honest with you, I already left Temple. I'm
Yeah,
already at a different school. I lost a guy that was interested in representing me. Um, so it played a big part in everything from my pro day to draft night. But miraculously enough, draft night I got 5 calls from 5 different teams, um, which kind of blew my mind. But weirdly enough, they still did not have my agent's information. So they called me to wish you good luck, but they also was like, you can't really. So I had to forward them my agent's information, which is weird to me. And that's kind of what possibly hindered me from getting drafted on draft night. So yeah, that definitely blew a hole in the dream.
understood. So what was it like after draft happens? You didn't get drafted. You ended up with the Cardinals initially, right? Or that's who you signed with
Yes,
first?
sir. Yep.
Okay, so
So my agent, literally, in my opinion, because he was so behind the gun with me, leading up to everything, he was already talking about UFL.
okay,
Because like I said, he wasn't really in contact with a lot of teams. Teams didn't know he was representing me. So I would give him information like, no, I just spoke to this team or this team, and he kind of jumped the gun by jumping on the first team that called him about me, in my opinion, which was the Cardinals. Um, and this is me looking back at it in hindsight. At the time, of course, I'm excited because somebody wanted me, but
yeah.
same token, I'm like, I had 5 different teams interested in drafting me, and this not even the team, none of the teams that were that gave me the call. Like this is a completely separate team. So I feel like he just kind of jumped the gun and sent me out there only because when I got there, 17 DBs there.
Hmm, goodness.
Exactly. So chances were slim. And what made it worse was of course they had their number one guy, Patrick Peterson. They just signed William Gay. They just re-signed another corner, AJ Jefferson. Uh, they had another nickelback and Mike Adams, and then they had 2 draft picks at corner. So technically, out the gate,
Yeah, you're
it's
behind.
not a all right. I'm already behind the gun.
Yeah,
So in hindsight, I'm looking at it like, all right, yeah, that wasn't a smart place to go. But in my opinion, it also made me buckle down and prove that I belonged out there. To the point where they actually thought I was a draft pick. Some of the players swore I was a draft pick, man. So like,
nice.
yeah, got me nice. It got me mentally prepared.
Gotcha. So a lot of people don't understand the dynamics between you as a player and your agent. So when you say like that's what he chose, how much say did you have in that decision to go to Arizona?
None, none, no say in that situation. Again, because like I said, we didn't really get in contact with one another until about 3 to 5 days before the draft. So he had to put his film together, homework on myself, how to sell me, who he can sell me to, and then try to run around and pitch it to as many teams as possible while also dealing with or whatever clients he had at the time. You know what I mean? So when he got their first initial call, someone interested, in my opinion, he was like, "This might be the only team, or just let me just hurry up and jump on this just in case no one else does this." You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I had no say so. He just literally let me know, "Hey, the Cardinals want to sign you. Um, you're going to Arizona." So
so how long was it between being released from Arizona before you got the call and went to Green Bay?
so Arizona, I was out there for maybe up until the final week of cuts.
Okay.
Came down to myself and the kid and Larry Parker, like San Diego State or something like that. And we're basically both fighting for the practice squad position at that point because they already had their set DBs. Um, so came down to us two. They ended up picking Larry more so because I was a little bit more raw than he was. He played the position pretty much all college, but it was a tough decision. So literally, they just gave me the speech of staying in shape, staying ready. We'll give you a call back possibly in like a month or two. So I got home maybe last week of August, um, and Green Bay called me about maybe 3 weeks later. 3 weeks later. So those 3 weeks was the longest,
I can imagine.
man, listen, longest 3 weeks ever. I'm sitting there thinking what I'm supposed to do. Nobody wants me. My agent's literally getting contracts to send me over to Nebraska for the UFL. And then out of nowhere, Green Bay calls up. So beautiful. I'll go in there and I do a little mini pro day. And it was the most interesting dynamic ever. They don't say a word to me. So I go through the
Really?
whole pro day. I'm doing everything. Don't say a word. Don't say a single word. Do my whole thing. I'm thinking, I'm not sure if I'm killing it, if I'm doing terrible. I have no idea. So like literally the workout's done. Just thank everybody for coming out. Getting on the shuttle, going back to the airport. Um, Calling my agent, letting them know what happened. And literally from the airport, I was about to fly straight to Nebraska to the UFL. And about maybe 10 minutes before we did the onboarding for the flight, he calls me back. I was like, hey, listen, Green Bay's coming back. They hit you from the airport. They want to sign me as
Nice.
practice squad. So it was different, but man, golly.
Yeah. So what's it like being on a practice squad? What does that entail? We hear practice squad a lot, but what does that really entail?
So practice squad for pretty much is like JV in high school or scout team in college. So you're not necessarily second string, but you're the guy that's giving them extra reps when they're not going against the offense or when the defense is taking a rest, starters taking a rest, and the offense needs a look. You're the guy going down there and giving them the look for it so the starters can take a break and they don't hurt themselves. So literally, they had me doing everything out there on practice squad. I was doing DNs when they had a speed rusher. Um, I had to play a speed back. I had to play speedy receivers. I had to play what's the guy's name? Josh Cribbs. Had to be him for the kick returns and like Percy Hart. Like there's a bunch of people I was out there mimicking to give the teams a look, defensive look, offensive look. So it's literally like being on the scout team in college ball or being on the JV team in high school. Only difference is for one, they're paying you, and then for two, you have the chance to not only get noticed on your team, but get noticed by other teams across the league.
Right.
So that was a big plus. So you never want to take any reps off. You want to do your best every single time, because just in case this team that you're on currently couldn't use you, it's another 31 teams out there that could possibly use you and call up and try to get you off the practice squad. So it was really good in my opinion. I would tell people all the time not to think of that as being less than, but just more so a situation where you're putting in extra work to better yourself and give yourself a better opportunity.
Gotcha. So what was it like practicing with guys like Rodgers and all those people? They was a good squad out there at that point.
It was a great spot out there. So real quick before I do that, I'm gonna jump back to Arizona because
Mhm.
there were two different practice routines.
Or
In Arizona, um, we didn't necessarily tackle or touch the receivers as much,
mhm.
especially with Fitz at the time, who just signed his huge contract. They didn't want to risk him getting hurt. So having that thought process and then going to Green Bay with that same mindset almost killed me because literally about The fourth practice and DB coach pulls me aside and he's like, "Hey man, you gotta start making plays." What you mean? He's like, "We don't start making plays. They're gonna bring somebody else in that can make these plays." I was like, "Oh, so you want me to pick it off?" He's like, "Yes, I want you to. You can pick the ball off. Pick the ball." I apologize, sir. I did not know that's what this. I thought it was different. You just let them catch it, whatever. You was there in the facility, and you played good coverage, but I did not know you wanted to pick it off.
Mhm.
So literally after that, instant switch, and I was, I'm not gonna lie and say I was picking everything off, but almost every single thing. I started picking off left and right.
Nice.
Um, and I had the most interesting conversation with Mr. Rodgers. So one day I'm leaving to go back to my hotel, and he sees me out there and asks me if I needed a ride. And I'm like, yeah, well, I just called my shuttle. It's on the way. Um, and he's like, no, I'll bring you some. Okay. I'm like, all right, but yeah, but the shuttle's right there at the gate. So he looks at me again, like, bro, just get in the car. All right, cool, no problem, no problem. So I get in the car with him, and the first minute, it's awkward silence. Got the music playing, no one's talking, and he just turns on the music and looks at me and is like, "Not gonna lie to you, kid. I didn't like you at first." And I was like, "What?" So in my mind, I'm thinking I'm getting cut. I was like, "All right, I guess this is how they do things out here." Um, but then, he just literally was like, "You got the skill set to earn a spot on the team, and potentially be a starter out here. Like, you're literally making me treat practice like a game again. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, he wasn't practicing hard, but there's moments where, he's so used to knowing the other DBs that he knows their strengths and weaknesses already.
Mhm.
That was a brand new case. I was a tall build, 6'1", but I was extremely fast, could jump, long arms. So like he pretty much had to put the ball perfectly every single time against me. If he didn't, it was either a batted ball or interception. And he's like, it drove him crazy for like the first first week or so. But he's like, he deeply appreciated it, and he wanted me to know that I have a chance.
Mhm.
So he was heavily on me ever since then. So that's always going to be my guy. Always going to be my guy.
That's an amazing story. Um,
Man, I got a few of them with him.
so what was it like when the time came and you got signed to the active roster? You played in a few games. What was that like?
So before that, they actually cut me before that.
Really?
They actually cut me before that. The preseason had a great preseason, but I had a injury where I wasn't necessarily, or they weren't sure if I'd be ready for the season. So it came down to myself and the safety Chris Banjo. Last minute chance, exactly. Last minute like we're gonna go with Banjo because it's healthy.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
they cut me. I come back in the locker room and Rodgers is there. He looks at me and is like, "Hey, you made it? You made the team?" I was like, "No." He said, "What? Did they cut you?" I was like, "Yeah, man, they cut me." And he looked confused, and gets me like, "Just hold on." And he leaves, and I'm like, "Yeah, whatever, man. I'm going home, call my agent up,
Hmm.
um, talk to my agent, let him know what happened." As soon as I get the phone, my agent Rodgers comes back. Doesn't say a word necessarily to me. Just walks by, gives me a thumbs up, keeps going. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Clearing up my locker, and then head scout Elliot Wolf comes down in the locker room. Nixon, did you call your agent? Yes. Don't leave your stuff. Come upstairs. We're going to figure some stuff out. So literally, they brought me upstairs, let me know what their game plan was. Um, but of course, they still had to cut me initially, but once I cleared waivers, bring me back to the practice squad, and then once I was healthy, they're going to bring me on to the after roster. Um, only caveat to that was I still had all those great guys in front of me, so still had Tremont, still had
Who was there at that
Sam.
time? You had just Tremont and Shields and those guys at that point?
Sam, Micah Hyde, Casey
Micah.
Hayward, Von
That
House. Like it was exactly. I was behind a lot of a lot of dogs, man.
mm,
But so literally one of the linebackers ended up getting hurt, and as soon as he got hurt, I actually got a call from Buffalo
mm.
to come and start on their team on their defense.
Wow.
Yeah, so I want to say it was Stephon Gilmore's either rookie year or second year in the league, and he's going to have me start across from him.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, so they called my agent, say, hey, pick up and go right now, or you can call Green Bay and give them the option to put you on the active roster now, or you can be a Buffalo Bill and walk on the field and start next week. So me being a loyal guy, Green Bay kind of holding me down. Well, more so Rodgers kind of holding me down, to be honest. Uh, Called Green Bay up, let them know what's going on, and they were literally, literally in the middle of the game. I forget who we were playing. I think we were playing the Browns or somebody. It was like, hold on, we're gonna give you a call back as soon as the game is done. Please don't go. We'll give you a call right back. So literally, as the game was over, they let me know what was gonna happen. I just don't say anything. By Monday, we'll pull you up to the active roster. But the only difference was, of course, I wouldn't be starting right away over those guys. I'll
Of
have to
course.
earn that starting position. Whereas Buffalo, I'm walking straight in and starting. So in my mind, I had a decision to make in terms of do I stay here, continue to learn the defense, polish my craft, polish my skill set, um, or do I go to Buffalo where I don't know none of their defense and walk out there and be a flight risk where, of course they have to keep you for 3 weeks, but if I don't produce in those 3 weeks, I'm done.
Right.
And if I'm done there, who knows if another team is going to want to pick me up. So, um, with that alone, I decided to stay with Green Bay. And it's still an amazing feeling walking in the office, uh, them having the papers out for you, call my folks immediately right after. Call my mom and dad right after it, let them know what's going on. Um, yeah, I didn't cry. It was close. It was close. It was close. So, but yeah, that was one of the greatest feelings that I had. Top two behind, being a father and making the active roster. Two highlights right there.
All right. So we were talking about for a second about the guys that you were behind in Green Bay. Some really, really talented guys. What did you learn from those guys, those vets, Shields and Tremont, all those guys?
So the very first vet that pretty much uh gave me some good advice, at least at Green Bay, was Woodson. So literally one day, just watching me, go through one-on-ones and pulls me aside. And was like, yo, slow down. I'm like, what? It's like, you don't need to speed through your back pedal because not one of these receivers is going to run past it. And, at first, in my mind, I didn't truly understand what he meant. So I'm still going through my regular routine patterns, and then I started watching him. I mean, don't get me wrong. Of course, he's a little bit older at that time. He's way more savvy and understanding or seeing or picking up cues for which routes or indications for routes. But just watching him be patient in his pedal, um, opened my eyes and pretty much slowed everything down for me where I can react not only to my guy, but if there's another guy in my zone or in my area, I can pretty much jump and clean that up just as easily as well. So he was the first person to pretty much slow some things down for me, give me some sound advice. Um, Sam and Jaman definitely gave me a lot of solid advice, especially Jaman. Jaman was vocal, but he was also more example style as well. He's not going to tell you a lot if you're not asking a lot, but he'll definitely show you by example, or if he sees something um, that hinders your play level or your skill set. Um, I guess it's just in him to make sure somebody's doing their best. And to him, I reminded him of me because he had a similar path
Mm.
where he was undrafted, got picked up late, had to work on special teams just to make the team and stuff. So he kind of took a liking to how I approached everything. Realized I wasn't a guy to ask for help. I was a trial and error guy. Um, so he kind of wanted to kind of give me the nip it in the bud because as much pride as you have, it's not going to help you too much out here, especially if you're behind the gun as a free agent or undrafted free agent, shall I say. So he definitely got in my ear about that. Asking for help, film study, just small things in terms of especially film study and um, little pickups here and there. So it was cool. The biggest or the most intriguing part of it was probably with Casey and Michael because we're pretty much the same. Me and Casey were rookies together. Michael was a year behind me, so like, it was like we were all coming in there together. So we were learning it together at the same token. So if we're getting information, um, we would literally piggyback it off each other. Like, how did you process that? Because I heard it this way, or, you know what I mean? So it was it was kind of funny hearing the different viewpoints of the information that we were hearing, and then what we were digesting from it. But it helped us a lot, especially with those two guys that we could see all pro DBs, both of them. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it was it was cool, man. It was definitely cool.
Nice. So we talked about kind of the lead up to you being put on the active roster for that time. So when you in those games that you played, did you play much? Like what was that experience like being out there?
So mostly special teams,
Okay.
to be honest. But the very first game I played, I got a full defensive series right before halftime because excuse me, I believe House went down with like a shoulder injury or something. So they just threw me out there. Hey, we're playing this coverage here, 2 minute warning, stick
Hmm.
to the flats. And
Yeah.
so literally, uh, Joe Flacco's out there, and I'm sitting in the boundary corner, and I know the concept, quick hitch, corner over top of the head. So you want to bite on the hitch, hit the corner on top, and I'm literally like it's like I was almost in Matrix mode where everything slowed down, and I'm watching him because I'm fresh bait. You know what I mean? Sandwich from on the other side. So I'm fresh bait. He's like, this rookie doesn't know what he's doing. And I swear to you, if I just hesitated just a tad bit longer on the corner, on the corner route, it might have been a pick six to the house right
Yeah.
before halftime. But nah, I showed my hand. I sat a little bit too quick, and I believe he just threw it away, or he threw it away out of bounds, right over our heads.
Yeah. Still a win.
But yeah, it's still a win, but I definitely wanted that.
Yeah.
First series out there, would have been
Make a
that'd have
statement.
been legendary. Would have been legendary. But yeah, that game I got three snaps on defense. Um, and then the rest of the three other games I got in is more so special teams. So it wasn't bad, but I was there. I was in
Yeah.
there.
Not many people could say that. So the Packers are my team. I've been to Lambeau a bunch of times. I love the environment. What is it like playing at
Cold for one. But
Lambeau?
of course, being a northeast guy, I'm
Uh,
kind of used to that.
mhm.
So that didn't really affect me too much. In my opinion, I kind of play better in the cold anyway.
Mhm.
Um, Probably because I'm used to it, and maybe because I'm a winter baby, I believe. So cold weather doesn't affect me as much. But the atmosphere was amazing. The fans were amazing. Um, the team chemistry was phenomenal. I don't think I saw more than maybe two fights the entire time I was out there. Um, and even piggybacking to the fans, one cool story about being out there was after I was released in 2014, 2015. I go back to a Jets game because I had two former teammates of mine from Temple that were playing on the Jets. Um, and I'm there, of course, with Packers, but to watch them. And this kid literally in the middle of trying to get an autograph from one of the Jets players looks over and was like, Nixon. And I look, and like, he pulls his bag, pulls out his chopper keeper, his binder, and pulls out a picture that he drew of me that he held on
Really?
for like literally for like 2 years, like until he saw me again. And I was like, yo, the first of all, that's crazy.
Amazing
That's
story.
dope that you even. It was dope. The fan love out there was really good. I even speak to a few of the kids uh that I rode bikes for.
Mhm.
Um, I speak with them very frequently. Two of them, well, one of them just graduated this year from high school. Another one graduated 2 years ago. He's heavy in music injury industry, and then another one, she's doing her thing in gymnastics now in high school. So I still keeping in contact with them is even more um, amazing. So everything about Green Bay was love. Was
Yeah,
love across the
I
board.
definitely love the like family environment vibe out there. It's a lot different than a lot of other places.
Way different.
Um,
Absolutely.
so a couple more things. I don't want to hold you too long because we've been talking for a long time already. Who were the wide receivers that they had when you were there? Was Jordy there at that point?
Yes, sir. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I just want to ask you about him
So
in particular because it's like you watch him play and you don't expect him to be like as fast as he is. Like so in person, like what was it like playing with him? Because he's deceiving.
listen, so I noticed my very first practice, two amazing things out the gate. First one was me watching Aaron Rodgers throw a no-look bomb, which was ridiculous. Um, Literally to Jordy on top of that. So he's literally eyeing right over the left corner, basically. And head is still facing that way. Throws it, no look to the opposite side of the field, on the money, 60 yards. And I'm sitting there looking like confused. And like a lot of kids, a lot of players, they're laughing because, they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. We said the same thing when we got here, bro. I was like, what? This is the average. This is normal stuff. He does this all the time. It's not nothing normal about that. But on top of that was watching Jordy because Jordy, I believe, was going against Shimon Sam at the time. And for them to get beat, of course, with Aaron throwing a no look, slow down the DB, held him and, slowed him sleep a little bit. But to get behind those guys, you got to run. So after that, I was like, I got to watch this guy because I don't want to get burned by this guy. So I noticed he's very similar to my run style. He's not fast out the gate. He's a guy that builds up speed. So the longer he's running, the faster he's getting. So once he get them wheels turning, you're not in a position, man. He's gonna go right by you, right by you. You better do whatever you can, PI, pass interference, jump in his way, whatever case may be, because he will roll right past you with no problem. And he's a very strong guy, strong hands guy as well. So you put it in the atmosphere, he's gonna go get it. On top of that, so Jordy is possibly one of the more elite guys that doesn't get a lot of love and credibility, um, especially as time goes by with it being more of a passing league now.
Yeah.
I hope they don't forget about what he's done. But yeah, it was a bunch of dogs out there. Donald Driver, Greg Jennings, Cobb. Who else am I missing? Brandon Ross was out there. Um, one more guy. What is his name? Brandon Boykin. There's another guy, a speed guy. Can't think of his name right now.
They were definitely deep.
They were deep, man. So it was a lot of work. But I had my own majority of time out there with those guys. But there was one guy I could not cover to save my life. And the sad part was he was not an original receiver. He was original quarterback. So the running joke with the scout people were, "Hey Nixon, man, you can cover Jordy, you can cover Jennings, Kyle, across the board, all these guys. But you got little Alex over here who just routing you up 24/7. Like I could never figure him out because he literally had one speed. Um, and with his one speed, you you don't know what's going on. You don't know if it's a run. You don't know if it's what type of route he's going to run. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't change speed at all, so he lulls you to sleep every single time. And man, it used to get on my nerves. To really irk me. So he would give me the toughest time out there. But he never made the squad. He was on practice squad for like maybe the season. I believe he was on the press squad for the full season with me.
Mm.
And then I think the Jags or somebody picked him up. I'm not sure how long he played after that, but yeah, there was some dogs out there. There was some dogs, some
For
real
sure.
dogs. James Jones, I forgot about James Jones.
Yeah, James. I went to opening day at the Packers one year after he had retired. I'm going through the entryway and I just see him over there just signing autographs. Like he's just in the midst of everybody. Like, he's
Yes,
he seemed like a really good guy.
cool. So literally, the whole team was possibly laid back.
Mm,
Um, Jermichael Finley, that was my guy. He
mm,
looked out for me a lot. Who else? Cobb was funny. Talk jumping to him a lot, especially when UConn beat Kentucky in that championship that year. He hated seeing me for the whole week.
mm.
Um, Clay Matthews was a comedian. BJ Raji, like the only guys that were kind of, and even still they weren't necessarily like that, but it kind of had to be was O-line. O-line was a little bit perky at times, but they kind of had to be in their nature because of who they're protecting. Other than that, the team was literally chill. Everybody was cool. Nobody had any type of ego. In fact, Vince Young came out there um, for preseason to make the squad. Of course, he came in a little late,
Hmm.
but hearing all the stories about Vince Young, and I'm hearing like negative stories. So one day I needed a ride to like Walmart or something, go to the store. I didn't have a car, or whatever. He looks at me and like, "Yeah, take my car." What? Take my car? Like, bro, you don't know me, bro. Like, how you just gonna give me your whole car? You could drop me off or bring me there. Like,
Yeah,
bro, like, it's fraternity, man. I'm pretty sure you're not gonna do nothing crazy to my car, man. You need to go to the store and come back.
yeah,
So like literally that type of atmosphere, like it was amazing out there. It was amazing.
nice. Um, so we touched on a lot of things, and you have a great story of how you got to where you got. So I'll end with this question: like for guys with NFL aspirations, what's your advice? If you can give a one or two pieces of advice, like what would you say to those young guys?
The first thing is you got to believe in yourself. Um, you can have the dream, you can have the skill set, you can have the talent, and sadly, some of the people around you still won't believe that that's the chance that you can that's the opportunity you can actually get. So if you don't believe in yourself, first off, you'll never make it. And that's not to be negative about your circle, but everyone has doubts, even you yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
So you got to believe it, that it's for you. Uh, And kind of tying into the same thing is when you get there, realize that you're there. It's not over. It's not a dream anymore. You know what I mean? It's actual reality. And that's kind of one of the things that hindered me a little bit initially. I was so stuck in the moment that, I'm still dreaming where forgetting that it's no longer a dream. It's reality now. Now that I'm here, now I actually got to continue putting pressure on, continue upping your game and things like that. The second piece of advice is um, pretty much having that 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 fallback or that community to know that when things do get rough out there, because it will, that you have somebody you can lean on, talk to, and make sure you're okay first, and not just more so about always about football
Mm,
or whatever sport you're playing. Because yes, you're playing that sport, they want to know about that sport, but they're still a human that's going through some things that sometimes you want to break away from that, or you just need to vent about just you. And if you have a good, solid circle, you should be fine. You should be fine. And last but not least, your work ethic. Again, yes, you're there, but cannot slack up because literally every day, unlike college, where they need a whole another year or a couple years for your replacement to come in, there's replacements coming in every day. So the one time you slack off, you're
yeah,
already on the board. Like, all right, hold on, he getting comfortable. Let's maybe look around to see if there's somebody else who wants this spot because he's complacent already. It's only been a week, or it's only been a year, or in case might be. So you can't be complacent. Always have to keep striving. LeBron is a great example of that. Um, guy never takes off, and he done beat dads and sons at this point. So clearly,
yeah,
he got the code, man. So those three things, in my opinion, will take you extremely far, and help you throughout your journey and your journey. So,
yeah. I think that's definitely great advice. That's all I have. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add before we get out of here.
well, first off, appreciate you bringing me on.
For sure.
For sure. Like I said, we go back, play Whittlesey, Willie Ave days, all the way back knee high.
Backyard,
Um,
backyard
yes,
basketball.
sir. Oh man, look, I showed my kids a video with kids playing on crates. And they're like, what's that? Yeah,
Yep.
that was our basketball court, man.
Yeah.
We ain't have rims like that out there, So
We was
yes,
out there
sir, way
every day.
back,
Every day.
every day, every day. Um, but aside from the appreciation you bring me on, I love everything you're doing. Watch you grow, watch your family do their thing. So I'm proud of everything you got going on. And to everyone that's tuning in, no matter what your aspirations are, I will say you don't know the possibilities of them until you try the possibilities of them. I know a lot of people sometimes get frozen up in the moment or thinking about taking a step, but again, it's 50-50. You miss all the shots you don't take. So please, whatever you're trying to do, whatever you're trying to go for, try it. And you never know. Even if you do fail, someone may see you, pick you up, and show you how to succeed with it. So just try to do your best and keep living positive out there.
Absolutely. And thank you for coming on. We appreciate your time. You know, you got other things you could be doing, so thank you for being here.
Yeah, I
Um,
got my babies over there trying to kick my butt right now.
so I'll let you get back to them. That's another episode, Set and Change Podcast. Tell your parents I said hi whenever you talk to them again. Let them know.
Absolutely.
All right. And on that note, we'll get out of here. We'll talk to you guys later. See
Peace.
you.